Hi and welcome to another episode of Toby's Barbecue Corner. Today we're going to be making some old school lasagna in my Dutch oven. Now what you need for it and how to do it, I'm going to show you in this episode. And this is what we need for today. Now obviously we need a Dutch oven, and this is my 3.5 liter rectangular Dutch oven, so that will work extremely well with the rectangular lasagna plates. So what else do we need? We need some onions, you need some garlic, some bechamel sauce. Now you can make it yourself, you can buy it pre-made, whichever one is best for you. You need some tomatoes, you need some Italian seasoning, you need some cheese, you need some butter, you obviously need minced meat, and you can go for any minced meat you want. So you can do pork or beef, you can only do pork, you can only do beef, whatever floats your boat. You need some parsley, you need some tomato paste, you need a little bit of oil, you can use vegetable oil, you can use olive oil, whatever oil you want, and a little bit of red wine. Well, let's get started. And the nice thing about this dish is you can do it in stages, you can even prepare it the day before. So we're going to start off with the ragu, the bolognese ragu. So we're going to take some of that vegetable oil, put it in the pan is heating up already. And we're letting that come up to temperature. And then we're going to start off with a little bit of tomato paste to give that a little bit of a sear almost. Because we just want to intensify the flavor a little bit. And then we're already going to throw in our onion garlic mix to soften them up a little bit, give them a little bit of color. Before we move on to the next step. Once this is coming up to temperature and has gotten a good color, we're going to throw in the parsley. And then we're going to already throw in our minced meat. And give that a good sear. Once we've gotten some good color on our minced meat as well as the garlic and the onions, we're going to throw in the tomatoes. Give that a good mix. Now you can use whole tomatoes. They might just be a little bit harder to actually maneuver around, so to speak, in the pot. So I prefer diced and peeled, but that's entirely up to you. So we're going to let that come up to temperature. Stir it all the way through. And then you want to season it. So I like to use some extra Italian seasoning. And you definitely need some freshly ground black pepper as well as some salt. And we're going to give it a little taste test in a little while. So, give it a good stir. We're going to reduce the amount of liquid inside, and then we're going to add in some good red wine to give it some more depth. And yes, it does look like a lot, and it might be a bit too much for our 3.5 liter Dutch oven, but don't you worry, guys. If you made too much, just make some additional pasta, and eat it the following day or the day after. As I said, the sooner you prepare this, the nicer this gets. Right, the liquid has reduced sufficiently. I know it does look like a lot, but when you just move it, it's actually not really running anymore. So we're going to put in a good heap of red wine. And now we're going to let that simmer for about half an hour with an open pot to make sure all of this gets nicely reduced. the ragu has cooked sufficiently, and I've already greased the Dutch oven with a good heap of butter. And what we're going to do now is we're going to layer it. So what you want to do is you want to start off with the ragu, make sure that you have everything nicely covered in there. There we go, just one thin layer on the bottom. And then we're going to put some of these plates down, and now if they don't fit perfectly, which they won't because you can tell, you can actually break them however you need them, so don't worry about it. That will work as well. And you can have them overlap a little bit or whatever breaks off, just how this does, you know, just put it in there. Don't worry about it if it's maybe a bit too big or too small, because in the end the bechamel sauce as well as the meat will all bring it together. So the base layer basically looks just like that. Now we're going to put another layer of ragu right on top. Make sure everything is nicely covered. And then we are going to put in our first layer of bechamel sauce. Here we go. Make sure, again, everything is nicely coated. And we're going to take a different kind of spoon for that, simply because we don't want to mix the ragu and the bechamel sauce in the pot with the ragu. There we go. And it should look something like this. Anyways, we're now going to continue layering again. So again, in with one layer of our plates. Break them if you need to. Throw in all these little bits. And you always go one layer of those plates, one layer of meat, one layer of bechamel, and then another layer of those plates. Right, all layered up. So the last layer is your meat, and then for the second to last layer, so to speak, you're going to use up all the bechamel you have. So interestingly enough, for me also to know, because I've only done it in my round Dutch ovens, in the square one, this was actually a kg of meat with all the other ingredients, and look how it fits perfectly into this form. So nicely spread about, and then as your final layer, your last layer, you want to take your grated cheese and quite liberally put it on the top, and then you can either, if you're doing this in a regular form, put it in your oven at 180 degrees for about 30-40 minutes, depending on how the browning goes, or you can just put it on your barbecue in the indirect zone for roughly the same time if you hit the same type of temperature. Right, all done. And now what you can do is you can put it on immediately, or you can just set this to the side, cover it up. You can leave it in the fridge overnight, whatever you want to do. But trust me, the longer you let that sit, the more juicy this is going to get. So I'm going to let that sit for about an hour, hour and a half, and then I'm going to put it on the barbecue. But for you, it will just be a few seconds. The barbecue is nice and hot, so what we're going to do is we're going to put it in the indirect zone, which means this burner's on, this burner's on. Now we're going to close the lid, and we're going to check after 30 minutes. Exactly 35 minutes later, we're done. Doesn't that look absolutely fantastic? The cheese has melted lovely, spread all around. Now what I did after 15 minutes, I put a few flakes of butter on top of it, exactly five little pieces, just to give it that bit more juiciness, but I Can't wait to dig in. So we're going to let that cool off just a little bit because obviously it's piping hot. And then we're going to feed the family. Alright guys, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video about our old school lasagna made in the Dutch oven. It was super simple. It took exactly 35 minutes. It was mega delicious. The family loved it. It was a good portion for 4 people. Or if you want to serve it as a starter, you know, you can obviously divide it up a little more, but for dinner, that was absolutely perfect. Now, if you did enjoy the video, I would appreciate a comment and a thumbs up. Please head over to that subscribe button for more great videos to come, and I hope to see you soon again at Toby's Barbecue Corner.